because they are brothers. So Arabs are anti-Semitism.
So most Jews are not Semites. They're Ashkenazi Jews. So they're not Semites in the first place. The word is stolen. So I don't agree with the anti-Semitism word because it's misused. It's abused.
I know.
Right. So the only difference we have is that you blame it on the West, and I say the West is occupied and they need to liberate themselves. So I think British people, English people, they should liberate themselves because they should do things in British interest, not Israeli.
Can I ask you a question? How many millions? What is the population of Israel?
It's about 9 million.
9 million, yes. Okay, let me ask you. Do you know the Hitler? I'm not mentioning, I'm not mocking. I'm just asking. So what I'm saying is, let's say 100 years ago, Hitler killed innocent Jews. Yes, 6 million. Do you agree with me? 100 years ago.
I'll take that premise.
Yes.
We won't go into the debate
Yes.
of whether
No, 100 years, around 6 millions. That's what they said.
They claimed there were 6 million.
Okay, 6 millions. And now how many millions Israel? 9.
So
how can Israel become 9 million within 100 years old? How can they become 9 millions within 100 years if Hitler murdered 6 millions of Jews? So that means the North Israel are fighting. No, are you not getting the point? What I'm saying is, if Hitler killed 6 millions of Jews, innocent Jews, yes? Yes? So, and now Israel, let's say, are 9 million, yes? 9 millions. If now there are 9 millions, back in the days, 100 years ago, that was the incident. Hitler, the incident of Hitler. 100 years ago. So, how can they become 9 million now? When already 6 million, they were minority on this earth. No, I'm saying Israel are less in population, even not 9 million. Do you know why? They are less than 9 million. Do you know why? Because if Hitler killed 6 millions of Jews, that means they would have gone down by in terms of the amount. So Israel, the Jews are not 9 million. It's lies. Do you know who's making them more? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Do you know who's supporting? My point is the Jews are 1 million or 2 million. Not 9 million, because Hitler killed 6 million innocent Jews. 6 million of them. So how can you tell me Jews are 9 million?
Mohammed was a dirty, filthy, disgusting child.
He's drunk. No, do not touch him. Do not touch him. He's drunk.
Came from the devil.
He's drunk.
The God of Islam.
Okay, listen. So how can the Jews become more 9 million? 100 years ago, they were murdered by the Hitler. How can they become 9 million when he killed 6 millions of Jews? That means Israel, inside, 9 million Jews are not there. There's no 9 million Jews. But they want to make the population look more. No, he's drunk, man. Calm down. He's drunk. So you're getting my point. What I'm trying to say is, if the Jews were murdered by the Hitler, 6 million of Jews, so that means the population of the Jews would have been gone down. So how come they go up all the way up to 9 million Jews, which means Zionists are there in the occupied land and supporting the Jews. They are not 9 millions because they were already murdered. Are you telling me within 100 years the Jews gave birth to 6 million of Jews? That doesn't make sense. 100 years. 6 million Jews, 100 years. After 100 years.
Hang on a second. You moved the argument to talk about a different issue.
No, I'm talking about the Zionists are there fighting for them. I've seen from the news. The Bible even says they occupied the land. There's no country called Israel in the Bible. But we see Palestine, we see Jordan. There's no Israel in the Bible.
Yeah. You're not having a rational debate. You're just ranting.
I don't accept Israel has any right to exist on Palestinian land.
Yes.
Okay? That is foregone conclusion. Okay?
Yes.
Israel is a fake.
You shut up! Dirty bastard! You're a bastard! You lying!
With fake borders.
Yes.
Okay? But where I disagree with you, the only point is that
Everyone here
everyone
is going to be judged by God. And it's not the God of Islam and Muhammad. It's the God of Israel. And you've been warned.
The God of Israel is not your first caste man, Jesus. They have their own God, which is Allah. That's what they believe. Goodbye.
So where we disagree is where you put the blame on Westerners, and I say to you that the Western governments are as occupied.
Do you know who supported them? British Empire.
I know.
We know the history.
I do know the history, and let me tell you this: that actually the people within the British government, the people within the British government were being paid. So, for example, when Churchill went to war with Germany, he was funded by the Focus Group. So he wanted to go to war with Germany. In 1935, there are articles where Judea declares war on Germany. So there were people pushing for war because they didn't like the policies that Hitler was pursuing. It had nothing to do with the Jews at that point. It had to do with usury and the fact that Hitler
was using the power.
Right. So Hitler was that's a separate issue. Where the point I disagree with you on mainly is when I say that the UK is occupied. So people have, there have been various Israel lobbies who've attacked me because, they said that, I should be struck off as a doctor because I have said that Israel doesn't have a right to exist. There's a Holocaust happening in Palestine right now.
Yes.
Holocaust is not a word that's trademarked. Okay, it's not trademarked just for the Jewish people. It refers to the literal burning of people. And that's exactly what's happening in Palestine. They're burning children alive. They're burning tents. And this is happening in Palestine. It's a Holocaust in the literal sense of the word. So they opposed that. I said that in the UK, we should ban every single Israel lobby. Okay? That Israel lobby should not exist in the UK. Britain, the British government should represent British people and British interests. The French government should represent the French people. Saudi Arabia should represent the Saudi people and so on. And this doesn't happen because what we have is special interest groups who who are so pervert, they pervert basically governance in that country, and that's what I oppose. And so I therefore was attacked by these lobby groups for saying these things, which are perfectly legal, perfectly legitimate. And I think that you can see this. For example, 76% of British people, British public, oppose the genocide, the Holocaust in Palestine. Yet Starmer, who is funded by the Israel lobby, sends arms, sends British troops to basically assist the Israelis. Now you say it's all for the benefit of the West, and I ask you...
Is that why he never condemns them?
Well, precisely.
I've never seen him condemning the genocide that the Zionists are committing in Palestine. But he talked about the Iran one. Hypocrite.
But he's a hypocrite. But I don't expect anything better from him because he believes in Zionism. He believes in he's influenced by the lobby groups. And he's a paid shill. And most of our MPs are paid shills. And it's the same thing in America. So I ask you, what benefit do we get? I'm a UK citizen. What benefit do I get? What benefit do all these people get by us supporting a Holocaust in Palestine? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Right? You say we get oil. Who controls the oil companies? Who makes the money? It's not the ordinary people. So how can it be in British interests? How can it be in American interests? This is not about oil. Okay? They didn't attack Iraq just for the oil. The oil was a secondary factor.
They lied about weapons.
It's all about geopolitical interests. It's all about Iraq was going to become a Muslim power and they couldn't have that.
Yes,
in the
and
Middle
Syria.
East.
Yes.
And there's a Greater Israel project. So
I know.
Israel, there was already an article, I think, in the Times.
That will never happen.
There was already an article.
Will never happen. Allah told us they will lose the fight.
I fully believe they will lose.
We know this. Even in the Bible it says they will be wiped out.
So I'm just going to make this one point. So
They're the enemies of Jesus. They will be wiped out, the Jews.
I just want to make this one point.
By Jesus himself, according to their own Bible.
There there was already an article. There was already an article in the, I think that was Times of Israel, saying Lebanon is ours. This is what the Times.
They even said Makkah is the border. Makkah and Medina, they said it will be the border.
So the point to here is that Israel was never serious about peace, ever.
Never. They don't want to. We know that.
And I think this hypocrisy, these lies have been exposed for the vast majority of people. And I think what we have to learn is we need to understand something called Jewish supremacy. So the reason they believe in the Greater Israel Project is that they believe that they are the chosen people.
They're not the chosen. I can prove from the Bible even.
In Christianity and in Islam, we don't believe in supremacy. We don't believe that one group of people are more important than another group of people. We believe that people are equal and you're only better than another by virtue of your faith. So if you are a better person,
I'm asking now, according to what you said, they said Jews are the chosen people of God, yes? So let me ask them questions. Any Jews can answer if they can hear this. And I'm not being offensive. What I'm saying is, if they're the chosen people of God, and God condemns gay, why would Jewish people and Israel soldiers, the Jews, and use men, Palestinian men as women? Why do they rape them? And God in the Bible says all the gays should be put to death. If you read Leviticus chapter 20, all the way to the end, there's the law from God, which He has given to the Jews. And He says any man who sleeps with another man should be put to death. God is condemning gay people. And they are fighting for the people who raped Palestinian men. Are you telling me those are the chosen people of God? Are you telling me God allows children to be murdered? Okay, if that's the case, then okay. So if Israel are the chosen people of God, as they said, Christians, 98% of the Jews are antichrist. They do not believe in Jesus. They do not believe in Christianity. They believe Christianity is idolatry. So if they believe that, they rejected Jesus. Christians know this. If Jesus now would come in Israel now, they would arrest him, they would persecute him, they would harass him. Yeah?
Well, they'll probably crucify him again.
Yeah, they would crucify him again, as the Christians claimed. So now still Christians are telling us, God bless Israel. But what God? God of Christians, Jesus, or the God of Israel? So are you getting my point now?
Absolutely.
So now what God bless Israel? 98% are antichrist. What God can bless Israel? And Jesus is the enemy of the Jews who rejected him. 98% rejected Jesus. Jesus said what? He was fighting against his enemies. In the Gospel of Luke chapter 22 verse 36 to 50, Jesus asked his disciples to get swords and to attack the enemies. Who are they, the enemies?
Yeah,
the Jews who are trying to... No, what I'm surprised, Christians saying God bless Israel.
Are
you getting?
As a Catholic, let me explain.
Yes.
First of all, we have to identify, when we talk about the Jews, we have to identify the group correctly.
Yes.
At the time of Jesus Christ, though the Jews have spent the whole of the Old Testament, the prophets are saying the Messiah will come.
Yes.
And we believe as Christians that is Jesus Christ. Now,
even in Islam,
the Jews had a choice, because God doesn't take away your freedom. If you're a Jew, you still have a free will. And the Jewish people had to make a choice when Jesus Christ arrived on the scene. Is he the Messiah or not? And they were split, because the disciples of Jesus Christ, the Jews who became Christians, and his mother and all the apostles, they said, you're the Messiah, and they became Christians. The Jews who rejected him, by the time you get into John chapter 8, the term the Jews has a very specific meaning, which is the enemies of Christ. The people who want to persecute him, and the people who ultimately say crucify him and hand him over to the Romans. So when we talk about the Jews, that's the group of people we mean. It's not, sorry.
So are they the chosen people now? If 98% now are antichrist, are they the chosen people as a Christian?
Question. The Jews, the Jewish leaders at the time, the Pharisees, they approached Jesus Christ, and here's the claim they said. They said, we have special DNA because we are the seed of Abraham. In Greek, it's sperma Abrahama. In other words, we are from the tribe of Abraham, and that's what saves us. And Jesus said, no. Your DNA is not what makes you pleasing to God. God does not respect your DNA. You are pleasing to God if you recognize me as the Messiah. So do you see what I'm getting at here?
Listen.
They have this belief that because they had certain DNA, their biology made them special. That's complete nonsense. Your biology doesn't make you special. And
If that's the case, you know, if that's the case, even the Arab, the prophet's tribe, is from Abraham. The same.
But your DNA is not what.
Yeah, it's not. It's not about DNA.
And of course now, the Jews in Israel, they're not even from that line anyway.
I know.
But when we talk about the Jews, essentially it means the enemies of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
That's the simplest way to
So,
tell it.
and the Christians, some of them say, God bless Israel.
Well, that's called Christian Zionism.
Yes.
That is fake Christianity.
See, this is what I like. Because if you tell me, like now, example, if I attack your mother, example, I pray to God that I don't want to do that. So let's say if I attack your mother now, would you love me? Would you bless me?
Let me explain what love is. Love is a very misunderstood word.
Yes.
The Greeks had four words for love. Basically, you can love. In English we say I love hamburgers or whatever it is.
Yes.
That's one kind of love. Then you have love for your relatives. Then you have friendship, philia. You have the love between a man and a woman, eros, and then you have
love
divine
between
love,
God and
agape.
you.
So when Jesus Christ commanded us to love our neighbor, and I love the Jews because they're my enemy. He said, love your enemies. What's love? Love is wanting what's truly good for the other person. Now, I even want what's good for the Jews. So when I criticize Jews, it's because I love them. And if you're committing a genocide, you're going to be in a lot of trouble when you're judged by God. So, in other words, to answer your question, do I love my enemy? Yes, it's a commandment. It's not a feeling.
No, I'm not saying in terms of that way.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm
means.
saying here, when Jesus comes back down, would Jesus support Israel?
No.
No. But Christians say, Christian Zionists say, God bless Israel. See now you are with me now.
You're right, completely.
Oh, okay.
Christian Zionism is a heresy. It's typical Protestantism. They take one line from the Bible and they construct this whole narrative.
They wrote down the books.
And they say, God will bless whoever blesses Israel and God will curse.
We need context.
Exactly.
Context is
That's
what?
not the state
The
of
good
Israel.
ones, the good Israelites who existed back in the days and followed what? The prophets.
That's right.
And the scriptures.
Which is
not the current ones.
not the state of Israel.
See the difference now?
Absolutely.
We are together now.
So important.
So now let me call you to
And
the
these
faith
are-
of Jesus.
God bless
The
you,
faith
brother.
of Jesus is Islam.
I understand. I know you might
Okay.
say that. And look, we can talk about that, but I think what's more important is what we've just demonstrated there.
Yes.
Catholics and Muslims, we can find common ground and identify who the Jews are.
Yes.
As I said, I love them because Jesus commanded it. He
Yes.
didn't say, and you can't command someone to feel a certain way, but if you love somebody, you want what's good for them. And I would say now the state of Israel is not good for Jews because it is, if you're...
I've seen the real Jews do not fight. You know that? I've seen the real Jews in Israel. Have you seen them? The way they getting bullied. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
Have you seen them? Yeah? Yes, yeah. Have you seen them?
They do get bullied.
Yes, I've seen them. They're lovely people.
Now,
I've seen
the
them.
other element, and I'm kind of cutting in here a bit, but the other element, as a Catholic, I recognize two expressions of Jewish power.
Yes.
So when I talk about the Jews acting, I don't mean every single Jew.
Okay.
Not all the Jews in Israel support Zionism.
I know that.
Or that.
Yes, I know that,
Now,
clearly.
the other expression...
They do, that's why they are
Well, that's true. That's true.
Why
They-
not there? Why
Good,
not
good
there?
question.
No, they want to. No, they want to. I know they want to occupy the land. We know that one.
But he-
And you know,
Let me
the
respond
people
to
who
that.
is fighting are not Israel and Jews. You know that they're
I
Zionists.
agree with you.
No, I disagree with you.
No. Trust me.
No.
They're not even that much. They're not even that much. They're not even 9 million. That's a lie. 9 millions.
Let's not go back on the
Just
thing.
100 years later,
No, I
after 100 years
no,
later,
I simply-
9 millions,
I simply-
after Hitler killed 6 millions,
I want to-
they can go all the way in the high amount.
I want to make just one point to you, okay? If you basically say that it's just the Zionists, okay? The word I prefer to use is the word Jewish supremacists. I think that's more accurate because these are people who believe they're better than everyone else. And therefore, a person who shouldn't be occupying a country that's not theirs, they cannot be living somewhere that doesn't belong to them. And that's what happens in Israel. So when you say it's just the Zionists and it's not the Sephardi, why are they there? They're occupying someone else's territory.
But the context, when God says my people Israel, he's not talking about the bad ones. You need to get the point. But people think, the people think it's about Israel generally.
It's not
all of them.
That reference is not to a country.
That's out of context. So now you're telling me someone who rejected Jesus is the people are the chosen ones?
That is what is so puzzling about Christian Zionism.
If they are the chosen ones, why God allowed Hitler to murder them? Why Pharaoh allowed them to God allowed Pharaoh to murder the Jews, Israel.
Now look.
So it's not about DNA. It's not about where you're from, your background.
This gentleman is making an important point.
The Schofield Bible. It was paid for
It's not about being Arab. It's not about.
a Jewish agency who brought forth Christian Zionism. That's
absolutely right.
This is why you have
well said.
I think
it's the Schofield Bible.
This is why you have
and
evangelicals.
it's the term Israel. Israel was the name of the chosen people from the Old Testament, right?
Back in the days.
And they split. When Jesus Christ came, as I described, they had a choice. The ones who became Christians are Catholics and Christians. That's the new Israel. And the ones who persecuted him, they are the Jews. And those two entities, those two groups exist to this day. Now, the other point, so for Christians to interpret that line of the Bible as the state of Israel, I mean, that is kind of theological ignorance of the highest order. That reference to Israel in the Bible, it's the people of Abraham. It's not a state that was artificially created in the 20th century. So it's a joke. I don't know why they believe it, but it's very powerful, and we know they have a lot of money.
And I think, John, you're right, that I think people need to look up the Schofield Bible. They need to look it up and see what it says and who pushed it.
Well said.
And that's why we have the Christian evangelicals, because if they read the Bible itself, they probably wouldn't believe in the so-called fake construct called the State of Israel.
That's right.
And I think that's a really valid
That's
point
what
that
the
you
man
raised.
was saying there, yeah.
And I think that's really important to raise. So I think that we do have, points of agreement on Christianity. I do wish England was more Christian, if you like. Ideally, I'd like them to convert, but the point is, I prefer people to have Christian-like behaviour. I think this country would not enter a degenerate phase.
Well, let me put it like this: if we talk about the three big religions, monotheism, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, for a start, I think if Jews and Christians and Muslims lived according to the moral code in those two religions, I think we can live in harmony. Now, it's more challenging for the Jews because Jewish identity is essentially it's a negative identity. It's anti-Christian, and there are two expressions of it in the world. One is Zionism. That's failed. Let's be honest. Jewish nationalism has not worked, and now it's manifesting itself in a genocide. The other expression of Jewish influence in the world is internationalism. You can call it Bolshevism, cultural Marxism. Essentially, it's moral subversion. So when people say to me the problem is Zionism, well, I don't think that's the whole problem. That's part of it, Jewish nationalism, but the other part is the moral subversion that comes from Jewish internationalism. And that's what, does everybody know that the owner of Pornhub, the biggest porn site on the website, on the internet, is owned by a Jewish rabbi, Solomon Friedman? That's an element of Jewish influence that isn't often spoken about, but we have to. Because if you look at all the moral subversion, gay marriage, transgenderism, and you look down the list of the promoters, you're not going to find Muslim names. You will find a lot of Jewish names. Magnus Hirschfeld, for instance, he's the father of transgenderism from Germany in the 1920s.
And this is something they don't often talk about, that Hitler, when he was burning books, I mean, whatever you think of Hitler, we're not going into that debate. But Hitler was burning transgender books.
That's
he was
right.
burning Magnus Hirschfeld, who was setting up transgender surgery, and he set it back by decades.
That's right.
I mean, that's a fact. But this is a fact that you won't learn about. This is not a fact they will teach you in schools. I went to a private school, and they didn't teach me this, so I'd really ask for a refund. On my school fees.
Good luck with that one.
So the point I'm making is that these facts are not anti-Semitic. They're not anti-Jewish. Is the correct word. There's no anti-Jewish bigotry here. I think that when you speak facts, they should be taken as facts. And no group. This is what I believe. I don't think any group should be free of criticism. You can criticize Muslims.
Very simple.
You can criticize, Christians very easily. You can criticize white people. You can criticize Chinese. You can criticize the Russians.
Anyone, as long you're wrong.
But if you criticize a Jewish person by virtue of what they're doing, or you criticize the Israel lobby, you immediately get labeled. And I think these slurs are what we need to fight against, because it is subverting, free expression. And I think there should be, real free speech, because we don't have it in the UK. And I know about that.
But they lie about British values. It's just lies. British values. Even international law, it's just lies.
So again, I think that
there's nothing called international law. Trust me.
No, I don't believe.
There's nothing. It doesn't exist. Even United Nations, I don't believe that. I don't.
But then the question you have to ask is, which country always gets away with abusing international law? Which country always has America exercising the veto for it, or the UK abstaining for it, or the UK vetoing for it? So which country has shown that international law isn't worth the paper that it's written on? And it's one country in speech marks, because I don't view it as a country. It's called Israel, right? Israel can break every international norm,
Not just Israel,
law.
even US, UK,
but again,
Russia. Chinese, China. They're doing the same. They can't break. So they say international law for us, they're breaking it, but when you break it, terrorists, this and this.
Sure,
you're gone.
But I think you have to look at where the major problem is, okay? So otherwise you end up deflecting, or you end up getting distracted. And I think you should try and focus on where the main problem is. Right now, I think the main problem is Israel. I think it's Jewish supremacy.
Can I give an example there? When Iran fired missiles into Israel the other day, Keir Starmer, he went out of his way to say, he could barely find the words to say how outraged he was. And I'm thinking, you were the man who said, let the Jews cut off food and water and electricity to Israel. Where was your outrage then? Where is your outrage when Israeli snipers shoot children in the heart and in the head? So what we're saying is there is a double standard, and the group that seems to be pretty much absolutely exempt from any criticism are the Jews. And that's the big roadblock. And until people are prepared to say that's not right, I think we're going to have a lot of problems.
And I think the one thing that people should look up, and I think I've learned a lot over the last 11 months, is actually on the Talmud. I have been struck, by the Talmud.
I've gone through that book.
I have never, seen such supremacy in any book. Which book would ever say that you can, if you kill a non-Jew, it is nothing? You kill a Jew, you've got to kill the non-Jew.
It's like you had fight with God. If you touch a Jew man, and they believe you are dogs and swines.
Yes. So they say that
they believe we are dogs and swines. But even in Torah it says the Old Testament.
There's pretty harsh stuff
it says the same
as well, to be honest.
It says the same. No, wait.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
Mister,
does.
stop lying
Yes, it
about
does.
that.
At the end of days.
Stop lying,
Yes,
Mister.
it does. No,
Quran says if they do not fight with us, we give them peace. Did you read Quran?
I read the.
Did you finish?
I read the chapter.
Or you just finished what chapter?
I read
Did you read the whole Quran?
The end where
No.
it
Do you
says
read the whole Quran?
the Jew will
No.
hide
Answer. Just
behind the
answer.
tree.
Did you read the whole Quran?
Don't tell me what.
No. Did you read the whole Quran? Yes or no?
I haven't read the whole
Then
Quran.
do not talk.
Have you read the
Go
whole
read
Quran?
Quran chapter.
Have you read
Yes.
the whole Torah?
Yes.
No, you haven't.
Yes. I finished. It's in here.
No, you haven't.
Yes.
I don't believe you.
Yes.
Have you read the Talmud?
The Talmud and the Torah. Do you know what they say? You're dogs and swines.
Brother.
Open your mind, Mister. Go read.
said dogs
Go
and
read.
swine?
You non-Gentiles, non-Israelites.
Let's
Go read.
What, you don't know nothing about me.
Go read. I'm just ignoring him. Yeah, okay. I'm just ignoring. No, your Bible calls you, not me.
Sorry.
Okay.
Dog in the
It
swine.
says the dead flesh, the animal that dies by itself, you can eat it. Allah said if they give us peace, give them peace. Quran chapter 60 verse 8. Go read that one.
Dog in the swine.
Chapter 60 verse 8.
Dog in the swine.
Chapter 60
Immediately. People who
8
don't
verse
agree with you
61.
is a dog in the
Go
swine.
read.
There's an important distinction to make. Let's be clear about
Yes.
this. When we talk about the Jews,
Yes.
let me explain, because this is extremely important.
Yes.
When we talk about the Jews, right, there are three ways we can encounter the Jews. An individual Jew, to me, he's a brother. I love him as a brother. Then we have all the Jews in the world. When we talk about the term the Jews, it does not include all Jews.
I know that.
In other words, the genocide in Gaza, and I think extending into Lebanon now, not all Jews agree with it. But when we talk about the Jews, that's a group that really exists. And the way we can think about it is, are the Jews able to represent themselves as a political body? And the answer is yes. And when we talk about the Jews, we're talking about the Jewish leaders and the Jews who follow their lead. And they are a political entity with power and influence in the world. But I want to make that distinction. It does not include every single Jew.
No, I understand your
not
point.
all
Yeah,
Jews,
no, I understand.
Feel represented.
No, I understand. No, that one is clear. That's what I said even in the beginning.
Dogs and
I
swine.
don't have a loud enough voice, but
The West and Americas want to get out of these countries.
yeah.
All right, 1 minute. We'll let the lady speak. Yeah.
Conclusion, yeah? We're finishing. Conclusion,
we
yeah?
can finish.
Okay.
So I just want to add to Sean's point that yeah, absolutely, that's the case. But therefore, I don't think Jews should mind the word Jew being used because we
can't hear you. That's why I'm leaving. Sorry, I can't hear you. You happy because I'm leaving here?
No.
Okay. No, it doesn't matter.
So, can you hear? Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So what I'm saying is that Jews should not mind the word Jew being used. We use Jew, we say Muslim, we say Christian. Why can't we say Jew? It doesn't mean. No, what I'm saying is that people want to use other words, other terminology. No other group gets a special word for them. You don't have a special word if you say there's a Muslim terrorist, a Christian terrorist. Okay?
You're saying Jew.
I'm saying it,
Yeah,
but I'm saying that you can't outside. You get labelled as anti-Semitic, and you get people saying, "Don't say the word Jew, say Zionist." I've been told this so many times.
There's a difference between Jews and Zionists.
The issue I have is with Jewish extremists, Jewish terrorists, and Jewish supremacists. They exist. So those are the problems that we will have.
A calculator.
Yeah, you can use this one.
That's
You
brilliant.
can use
I
this
think-
one.
I
No, you can
think
use
that's
this
really
one.
good. Sorry, go on.
You can use
anyway,
this
yeah.
one.
But
Yeah. You can use it.
Man, you've done great because
Yeah,
you kind
and
of brought us.
Yeah, no. I'm not against all the Jews. You need to get my point.
None of us.
Yeah, no one. I know no one. I know that one.
If you do something wrong and I criticize you, is that because I hate you? No, it's because I love you and I want to help you. And when we do that with the Jews, that's what we want to do.
But you're making
It doesn't make their behavior acceptable.
Well, you can.
You're making some quite big claims about.
Are you-
Wait. No, I don't want to speak to you.
Are you?
You're making some.
Are you a Zionist?
No, fuck. I'm not. No, I'm not actually.
Why are
I'm
you?
not a Zionist.
Are
What do
you-
you mean? What am I? You want to label me?
Are you a Christian?
I'm not talking to you.
Are you a Christian? Anyways, I'm finished. Anyways, I'm finished. Yeah, I'm finished. I'm finished.